able to celebrate life. What does colors have to do? What do colors have to do with celebration? Well, there are colors of life and health. And we call them Rasta colors sometimes. And they have the Jamaican colors as well. But here I want to reinforce all the time that these three colors have got to be around you, and they have got to be a part of your food and your diet. And so when you really want to be up and running, you've got to utilize these three colors. So here we have them over here, and the proportions I'm trying to get right. But it is 50% green, 35% yellow, and 15% red. That is how much of those colors you are to get into your system. Whether you get it in through your food, which means that you must have 50% of all the food you eat every day must be green. And then 35% must be yellow. And 15% must be red. Now, when it comes to food, if we're going to translate that into number of servings, we're talking about 5 green servings, 3 yellow servings, and 1 red serving. Now, what are the different things that qualify as a serving for 1 and 2? What colors are really yellow? So let's start from the greens. The greens are anything from the palest chocho or a pale green going right back to the deepest callaloo. And then the yellows are anything from a pale banana going right back to the brightest yellow, which is mango and pawpaw or papaya or carrots or pumpkins. Those bright yellows are not reds, they are yellows. So that's your yellow. And then you have your reds. And your reds actually start at tomatoes, the color of tomatoes. And they move back into black and purple black and blue black. So we will have our tomatoes, we have our eggplants or garden eggs, and we have our red cabbage, we have our beetroot, and then we have berries and cherries, and we have all of those purples and reds and wonderful. Now, it sounds like a whole lot, but you know how I simplified? I just pick out from our local produce the 3 richest sources of these colors, and I use callaloo or moringa for everything that I need to get my greens from because it is the most intense of the greens. And then for the yellows, I use carrots sometimes. I use papayas or papayas, and we call them papaws in Jamaica, and mangoes when they're in season. So you need to find, oh, for my reds, I use beetroot. Beetroot. It is the richest source of the reds. Now, what is the significance of these 3 colors? First of all, the greens give you chlorophyll. Remember what I said yesterday about every living plant has vitamins, minerals, protein, chlorophyll, and enzymes. Those are the 5 elements of anything that is alive. And you need all 5 elements in order for it to grow. So it's important for you to understand that when you bite into some callaloo, you're not biting into iron only. You're biting into hundreds of different nutrients. So when you understand that, then you'll realize that each food is called a whole food because it gives you the whole of the nutrition that you need in different proportions. And so the greens are the most important of all the colors. That's why you need to have them in the largest proportion. And remember what we said yesterday about blood? The life in of the life of the human being is in the blood. The life of the plant world is in the seed. And this is why we need to have the things that have a seed. But in addition to that, the blood of the plants is chlorophyll. And chlorophyll has the same molecular structure as the hemoglobin in our blood. And it is one of the most important components in building our stem cells. Do you know what stem cells are? Stem cells are those wonderful cells that can just change their characteristics and replace any cell that is missing or broken or defective. That's why they use stem cells to make new body parts. And that is why they are using all these stem cells to clone people and to make new people. I am not involved in that at all. I think that instead of going to get a stem cell infusion, you know how much it costs? $85,000. All you need to do is have 5 servings of green a day, and you will build back all your own stem cells. And then there's no possibility of rejection. And when you use your own stem cells, then they know where they are to go. They swim around, man, and they go and find a little area that is defective and they just replace those cells. And then they swim around again and they go and find another area where there are missing cells and they just replace it. And anything that needs to be fixed or replaced is done by your own stem cells. So why on earth would you want to go and pay $85,000 for a stem cell implantation when you can get it for yourself? And do you know, I have friends who have done this and it lasted for 1, 2, 3 years. And after that, they are now promoted to glory. We need to go and use the natural defenses of our bodies if we want to have sustainable improvement in our health. So that's why I have these colors here. They're very important. I mentioned that they're the colors of life. We did the greens. Now we come on to the yellows. Now the yellows are antioxidants. And what happens with those? Those are the ones that do even more repair. But now what they do is fight the free radicals. I don't like to use those terms, but it's those cells, negative cells in your body that are mashing up the other cells and fighting against your good cells. Those are called free radicals. And what they do is they weaken the other cells. It's like they're a virus, a germ, a fungus, a bacteria, whatever. And what they do is weaken the other cells. When you have foods with yellow, it cleanses those. It strengthens those areas. And so that's why they call it antioxidant. And then we have our reds. Those are the power ones. They're also antioxidants, but they are cleansers along with it. And so you find when you have a lot of beetroot, it tends to have a detoxing or cleansing effect on you. And that is good. Remember, anytime you have a cleansing effect from your natural whole foods, it is always good. There are people who say, I don't like to eat callaloo because it puts me into a cleansing mode. Or I don't like to eat. If there is nothing to cleanse, then it will not come out. You cannot cleanse what is not there. So remember, what is the cleansing protocol? 1, you need to have 8 to 12 cups of water so that the liquid waste can be moved through your kidneys into your urine and through your sweat glands out of your skin. You need to make sure you're having an emulsifying agent, water, and enough fiber to move the solid waste out through your bowels. And you need 3 bowel movements a day in order to be cleared in a timely manner of your solid waste. Then we have our gaseous waste. And in order to keep that cleared, we need 1 hour exercise so that we can get really tired and do some deep breathing. If you're not able to get that, then you need 3 5-minute deep breathing exercises during the day. That's for your gaseous waste. And then the last one is your mucus waste. And remember, most of it is here, but it's all over your body, in your lymph nodes, and all over what we call your mucous membranes. And those membranes are all of your body. So you squeeze a bump and there's pus, that's mucus. If there is this cloudiness in your urine, that's mucus. If there's stringy whitish deposits in your feces, that's mucus. And in your blood, it's called arteriosclerosis. So we have mucus coming out wonderfully all over your body. Remember, the cleansing process is the most important one in the healing process. Meaning it does not make sense to eat food if you haven't cleansed. Because guess what? The poisons in your system are going to overwhelm the good food and you don't get the right effect of it. Cleanse first. So that's why these colors are so very, very important, and the proportions are so important. Why do I call them the colors of life? Do you remember those elements that we spoke about? Air, water, sun, earth foods. Well, guess what? These are the colors of those things. Because of fresh air, you can't see any color in it, but this is the color of the sun. And this is also the color of fire. And that also comes from the sun. Energy. And here we have the color of earth foods. It doesn't matter what color the fruit ends up at. It has to have chlorophyll in order to survive. And remember what we said about protein? Every whole food has enough and more than enough protein for the human body and the human needs for protein. That does not mean you have to pig out on beans and peas and nuts and so on. And anytime you think you have a shortage of protein, remember that source of your protein needs to be the greens. So, I am sure we are quarter ways into our program by now. I haven't gotten my 15-minute break as yet, but I will just keep continuing until I get my 15-minute break, and then we will take a break. But moving right along, remember today, as always, we're doing one of the rules. And the rules of Celebrate Life are 1. Know your destination. 2. Know your driver. 3. Pay as you enter. And 4. Enjoy the ride. And today we are doing how to enjoy the ride when you're on your physical health repair. So, enjoy the ride. A lot of people don't enjoy the ride when they are repairing because they think that if it is good for you, it has to taste badly. And that's not necessarily so. That is your choice. And so I want to bring out today the 4 things that make you enjoy your meal, regardless of what kind of meal it is, what kind of cuisine it is. It doesn't matter whether it is Jamaican or American or Thai or Chinese. It doesn't matter what it is. The only way you're going to enjoy your meal is if you have these 4 things they are. in it. And these are them: salt, sugar, seasoning, and oil. So when we come back from our break, we are going to tell you how you can have those four in abundance and not affect your health negatively. See you in a while.
On reggae2reggae.com, we encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. On reggae2reggae.com, we encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. On Since the first public demonstration of radio by Nikola Tesla in 1893, no one ever thought of putting the 2 hours of music together until we created reggae2reggae.com.
I guess he's trying to tell me something that I should know about this new wind, a new wind that's gonna blow. It's the raining of the heathen coming down on my people, taking the goodness of life.
Now, we were talking about how we are going to use those four what I call addictions and substitute them. Because the four things that people are addicted to in terms of our taste buds are salt, sugar, seasoning, and oil. And those are the four things that are causing most of the problems in our health. And usually you go and you have a condition and the doctor will say, cut down on the salt, cut down on the sugar, or you've got to stop using the pepper, the spices have got to be cut out. Or it will say, no more fried foods, no more oil. Well, I'm here to tell you that those four items are the most important items in reversing your condition. But it cannot be from a source that is harmful. What is happening? What is wrong with what we are using all the time? One, table salt. Table salt is called sodium chloride. It is made in a laboratory and it is a mixture of sodium and chloride, two poisons. And the only thing good about them is that they taste salt. But once they get into your body, they go into your bloodstream and they crystallize. And oh my goodness, that's the end of the cardiovascular health problems. Moving on from salt to the next one, sugar. Ooh, I just love everything sweet. And what is wrong with sugar then? Because it is processed. If you bring something into your body without its enzymes, then it does not have the catalyst that is going to process it in a timely manner. So if you bring sugar, any kind of processed sugar, I don't care whether it's beet sugar or cane sugar or any stevia or any wonderful sugar, once it has been processed, it is going to harm you. Why? Because this is how sugar metabolizes. Did you know that our brains are fed by blood sugar? It's only thing that feeds your brain. So if you do not have enough sugar because you are a diabetic, then your brain will soon stop functioning. And that is why diabetics die from kidney failure, heart failure, problems with your appendages, extremities, all of that, because you don't have enough sugar in your system. It affects your thinking processes. It prevents you from being rational. That's all that happens when you draw the sugar. And guess what? We don't understand how sugar metabolizes. But I'll tell you more about that when we start to come to the good part. So that's salt, sodium chloride, two poisons. Sugar, processed, another poison. You know what is the main problem with sugar? Processed sugar. Every time you take 1 spoon of processed sugar or more, this is a teaspoon, it depresses your immune system, shuts it down for 4 hours until all the sugar comes out of your system, in your urine or anywhere else. 4 hours. So everything that passes by you, all the germs and viruses and bacteria and all the other pathogens, your body has no resistance because your immune system has been shut down because you just had a sugary drink or a sugary product. Wow! So every time you have something with at least 1 teaspoon of sugar in it, your immune system is paralyzed for 4 hours. That's why you catch this and you catch that, because you don't have any defenses. More about the sugar thing. So that's salt, sugar. The next one is seasoning. Whoa! Curry goat cannot be curry goat unless it has curry in there, and it must have pepper. We know that those of you who eat the thing, pork, those who eat that animal, you know, say, especially when it come from the jerk place, it have to corn with seasoning, plenty pimento, and plenty scallion. I used to make jerk seasoning, still do, scallion, and you just make sure everything just rub down in it, and jerk stuff is not jerk stuff until your eye running water and your nose is sniffling. So we know how important seasoning is. It doesn't matter what you eat. If you boil it without any salt and any seasoning, it would be insipid. So you need to understand, seasoning is very, very important. But if the seasoning you're putting in does not have any enzymes, then it ceases to become anything but a taste. And now it has no therapeutic value because it is dead. Without enzymes, any product is dead because enzymes are the life force. So here we have a situation where the salt don't have any enzymes, the sugar don't have any enzymes, the seasoning doesn't have any enzyme. That's why you should never use powder this and powder that. And the only seasonings need to be dried or fresh. More about that. The last thing is the oil. And you know where to. If you have any health problem, cut down or cut out your fried foods. Well, I am here to tell you that is good advice if you're using any of those regular oils that have no enzymes. So I want you to notice that through these 4 things, the enzymes are the most important thing in it. So here we have a situation where we are having this kind of oil and that kind of oil. The other day, I went to a certain place that produces coconuts. And I went from the top to the bottom and did a survey. What sort of oil do you use? Corn oil, soya oil, canola oil. Huh? I said, excuse me, and what happens to coconut oil? Well, excuse. Moving right along. When it comes to oils, the oils need to have the enzymes intact. So now that I'm seeing what is wrong with these oils, it's not that it's from a wrong product. That's one of the things. But secondly, it is important to understand that all of these become dangerous chemicals when there are no enzymes in it. Why? Because the enzymes are what makes it metabolize. It's what cuts out this and cuts out that and prevents this from harming you and blocks this from going into certain parts. And of course, you see those oils? When they are heated, oh my goodness, the molecular structure starts to go haywire and they start to pick up all sort of other molecules and then they change their characteristics and then they start clogging up your arteries and oh, it leads to a whole lot of problems like cholesterol and hardening of the arteries. This is what happens when you use those four products without the enzymes. All of these diseases that you can think of become worse. So now that you've heard bad news, let me leave you with the good news. Now, the good news is this. Salt, in its natural state, that means sea salt or rock salt, in its natural state, has 87 to 190 different elements, depending on the surroundings that it comes from. But it has all the minerals that you need for your body. Salt, if it is sea salt or rock salt. So salt in its natural state is not a poison. When you buy table salt, that's a poison because it's sodium and chloride, two poisons mixed together, and when they get into your body, they crystallize, cause problems. But when you have sea salt or rock salt, make sure it's from a good source that you trust. Because the other day I went to the supermarket and I saw these little packets of sea salt. And I said, wow. And then I looked on the price. I realized the price was the same price as the regular sodium chloride. I said, that sounds fishy. So I called the Bureau of Standards and they said, I will need to call the manufacturers. All right, so I called the manufacturers. I said, I need a phytochemical certificate to this, meaning I need to know what is in it, where it comes from, and so forth. So the person on the line says, they don't want that information. I said, well, guess what? Get it from whoever owns this organization, and I shall call back. So I called back, and they told me, oh, that is the brand, sea salt. I said, excuse me? You are telling me that you have branded this thing sea salt, that the name of your brand is natural sea salt, and it's not sea salt? Oh yes, it comes from the sea. And I said, well, tell me exactly what you put into it. Well, the answer I got was that the flowing agent, or the agent that is put into these items to make them flow, meaning they won't stick together, the anticoagulant, if you want to call it that, is not as toxic as the one used in the regular. Well, guess what? You need to do your research and you need to make your decisions as to whether this sea salt has in the 87 to 190 different minerals that you need to be healthy. Moving right along from the salt into the sugar. Now, remember, we're talking about enzymes. We are talking about enzymes. And as we look more into the enzymes, we're going to take another break. And we'll be right back to tell you how to keep the life force into your seasonings.
Reggae to reggae.com. We encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. Since the first public demonstration of radio by Nikola Tesla in 1893, no one ever thought of putting the 2 hours of music together until we created reggae2reggae.com. Since the first public demonstration of radio by Nikola Tesla in 1893, no one ever thought of putting the 2 hours of music together until we created reggae2reggae.com.
And rendering them evil, you see the little that they gave you was just to deceive you. Don't tell me that you were blind. Don't let the devil fool you. Oh, oh, yeah. Somehow I know things have got to change. Ooh, wee, oh, oh, oh. Somehow I know it's got to be rearranged.
The opportunity during the break to have a drink of my master cleanser. Remember, cane juice, lime juice, and cayenne pepper. Wonderful. And what does this do? It cleanses at the cellular level, so you don't have to do a liver cleanse and a kidney cleanse and a lung cleanse and a skin cleanse and moving right along. So, we were looking at those 4 addictions that human beings have for salt, sugar, oil, and seasoning. And we spoke about the salt, then we spoke about the sugar, and then we were on to the seasoning. So the seasoning, or was it the oil? No, we were on to the seasoning. The seasoning should not be the powdered stuff. It should be natural. So guess what? You get all your herbs and spices, and you get them fresh. If you want dried seasoning, dry them yourself, powder them, and keep them until you need to use them. So when you're buying seasoning, just like when you're buying fruits, always buy more than you can use. With the seasoning, you use it and you use it and you use it and you use it. And when it starts to grow, then you put it out to dry. Or you plant it. That's what I do. When my ginger starts to grow, I plant it. When my onions start to grow, I plant it. When you plant onions, you don't get onions, you get scallion, but it's still a good seasoning. So remember, always buy more than you need. And as soon as they start to grow, you either cut them up to dry or you plant them so that you can have your own source of supply. The seasonings, therefore, must only be fresh and dried. No powdered stuff, unless you powdered it or I powdered it for you. Right? You've got to know your source. So that's for the seasoning. And let me tell you something. Seasonings and herbs and spices are very, very therapeutic. Do you know what cleanses the heavy metals from your brain, as is evidenced in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and other dementias and those conditions of the brain? Do you know what cleanses? The herbs and the spices. So you need to have all of those things in your teas or sprinkled on your food. And remember, there are so many of them in this one wonderful, blessed island in this hemisphere. We've got to make use of them. We're accustomed to onion, pepper, garlic, ginger, mint, scallion. But what about the oregano and the basil and all those other ones? Anytime you break off a leaf, the French thyme, all of them, they are so aromatic. They give such a different kick to your food. And so we have to remember that all the seasonings are very, very important in the process of cleansing your brain, and also in making your food delectable. So remember, no, there is no downside on using a little or a lot of this, because all of them are nutritious elements. So the more you use of all of them, the better. People constantly tell me, why is your food so salty? I said, because it's rock salt. And the more salt, the more minerals. Huh? Never heard that concept before. But it's the truth. And it will never change. So we're on to the last one, and that is the oil. And we know that the best oil, not just in this hemisphere, but in the world, are the palm nut oils. It doesn't matter what kind of nut, the palm grows. Natalie, bring a coconut for me. Do we have a hard coconut? No, it's already ground up. Anyway, we have the best palm nut oil in the world. It's called coconut oil. And I have my own brand, and it is cold pressed and unrefined, the real thing. So you can do this too. When we do another program further, I will teach you how to boil your weekly supplies of coconut oil right there at home, without the usual long process that they used to do with all of the water. You have to boil out the water. I have a quick method that I'm going to show you as we go along. But the oil, it is the best oil in the world. Olive oil is wonderful too. But guess what? I must eat what grows where I eat. And I don't see any olive trees growing in this country. They can grow here, because the same things that grow in Israel can grow here. But know that the best oil in the world, and this is not from just my perspective, this is now clarified and chronicled, is coconut oil. So, you know what I do when I do in my coconut oil? Everything just swims around in there. You know what I cooked yesterday? Ratatouille, right? And that is a French dish which has in eggplant, cucumbers, carrots, lots of onions, garlic, and herbs and spices. So that when you're looking at the oil, it's originally in olive oil for the recipe, but I only have coconut oil. So I use coconut oil. And then swimming in the oil is all the thyme leaves and the bits of scallion and all the different herbs and spices. And when it is cooking, I'm just going, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. It is good. And guess what? You take croquettes, or you use, what I do is I take my brown bread. This is not just brown bread, I mean wheat bread. And I cut them in 4 squares and I toast them. And then I use it and dip it in the oil. It is wonderful. And we are going to be giving our crew today some of that wonderful ratatouille. So you're going to try it at home when we're doing one of our culinary programs. But the oil can be drunk, and it is the best thing for the whole of your body. Well, when I was doing my coconut oil processes last night, you know what I did? First of all, while I'm doing all the cleansing stuff at night, I put a teaspoon of coconut oil in my mouth, and I swish or around and gargle with it for about 15 minutes. During that time, I bathe, take off my makeup with coconut scrub. I have a coconut settlement scrub. The grains are so fine you can't see them with the naked eye, but it is used as a scrub to remove your makeup and to give your skin the emulsifying agent that it needs. It is just fabulous because guess what? It is antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, and I tip a little garlic in there and make it antibiotic. So it doesn't matter what pathogen is on my face, virus, bacteria, it has to go. So remember the qualities of the coconut oil. But while I'm wiping off the face, in my mouth is this teaspoon of coconut oil and it's going and I suck it through the spaces in my teeth and it's pulling all the bacteria in your mouth into it. And by the time I'm ready to spit it out 15 minutes later, it has grown from a teaspoon to more than a tablespoon because it has picked up all the pathogens right around my mouth. The trick is this: coconut oil has, as most of these molecules anyway, they have an oil shield right around each molecule, and that attracts the molecules in the pathogens and that sucks it into itself. It's the same principle of eating pawpaw seeds. You know that film around the pawpaw seed? When you eat it and it goes down into your small intestines and stomach or wherever it goes, on the way down through the digestive tract, it pulls into it all the bacteria, and it works mostly on parasites, right? And any foreign objects, including if you are recently impregnated. So when you are pregnant, make sure you don't have a whole heap of pawpaw seeds, because when the pawpaw seeds go down there, they say, oh, this is a foreign matter. They didn't know that it's not a part of the normal thing. And they will suck up the fetus. I'm talking about just from the egg stage, So remember, pawpaw seeds are very important. When I have my pawpaws, I make sure that I eat the seeds in all the pawpaw. And that's not because I want to get rid of, but it's because I want to get rid of all the little pathogens in my digestive tract. Wonderful. And then you will see them the next day floating in the toilet bowl. So isn't that an easy way to do this? And you don't have to chew them up, just swallow them whole. So I have a pawpaw and the seeds every day. So back to the oil, because there's another point about this coconut oil that I want you to understand. It is called a medium chain fatty acid. That means when you look at molecules, they usually have some little hands sticking off from them. That means that is their ability to pick up other nutrients and other components. But this one is such a balanced chain. It does not have any extra arms to pick up anything else. And so this is why coconut oil is the most stable oil in the world. That is why when you heat it, it still does not pick up additional pathogens or whatever else, components. And so, whether you heat it or you have it cold pressed, it is extremely effective. So, we have looked at the 4 addictions. And having done that, you can recognize now that you can have all the rock salt that you like. Make your stuff as salt as you want it. For the sweet, cane juice, because cane juice still has the enzymes in it. What about diabetics? Remember what I said about how it metabolizes? Let me explain that again, because I've done that several times in our program. When you have your sugar in a whole food product, then the sugar that goes into your bloodstream is bound to all the other hundreds of components in that product. And as it goes and circulates in your bloodstream, now your bloodstream is full of sugar, But guess what? The sugar is bound up and hitch on to all the other nutrients that are in your system from the product that you just had. So now it coming and it flowing past the brain. And when it flow past the brain, the blood just put a little bit of sugar in there. And next second, another bit of sugar. And another bit of sugar. But when you just ate a Oreo cookie, or you just ate a chocolate bar, guess what? The sugar in there has already been removed from its all the other things it's attached to because it's processed. So when that comes into your system, you know what happens? When the blood is carried past the brain, all of it just deposits into the brain stem, boom! And you go into a hyperglycemic coma. And that is what is horrible about getting too much sugar into your system. If it is processed, all of it is going to be deposited, boom, one time into your brain. And then your brain just gets frazzled because you get too much food one time. But when you eat it in a mango or a banana or 10 bananas, it makes no difference. So don't tell the diabetic that they can only have half a banana. They can have 4 or 5 bananas or 12 mangoes. It makes no difference to what goes to your brain. It makes the same in your bloodstream. Because when you take the blood thing here, you'll say, oh, there's a lot of sugar in the blood. But that blood with the mangoes in there, where you bypass your brain stem, and every time it is passing, it only deposits a little bit. And this is why you can stay on a high after you have had mangoes. Because your brain is constantly fed. Constantly fed. Do we need a break? Wonderful. I'm so excited about this thing, you see, that I forgot that I have one more break. So we're going to the break. Coming right back with more information about sugar.
Reggae2reggae.com. We encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. On Reggae2reggae.com, we encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. On Reggae2reggae.com, we encourage our listeners with an inclusive, intelligent, and innovative alternative media experience. On Reggae2reggae.com, we encourage.
Somehow I know it's got to be rearranged. Ooh, oh my eye.
Do you know how you can know a Jamaican when you go to a cocktail party? You go and there's no ice in the glass. So that's how you can pick up the Jamaican. Not by the color, not by how they look, but by how they shake the glass. So, that's it. End of my drink number 4 for today in my master meeting. So I have 2 more to go, and then I can have my light meal this afternoon, or this evening rather. So, remember we're talking about sugar, right? And how sugar metabolizes in your bloodstream and how it goes to your brain. Remember, if the sugar has already been broken apart and isolated, as in processed sugar, then all of it is going to rush to your brain and it's going to affect your whole metabolism. It's going to flood your brain. It's called a hyperglycemic coma. And when that happens, you could die, I'm telling you. So it's serious. So this is why doctors are so afraid when they see a high blood sugar reading. Immediately they want to give an injection because they did not get any training in the fact that if it was a whole food that caused this high sugar reading, it cannot flood your brain. Because it has to be broken apart from all the other components that it comes with. And that is why the enzymes are so important. That is a catalyst, the enzymes, because all of us need to have food with enzymes. And so a lot of people don't understand that the only food that has enzymes in it is raw food. Why? Because enzymes die at 120 degrees, 107 to 121 actually. So guess what? What is boiling point? 212. This is Fahrenheit now. So can you imagine? I don't boil my vegetables. I always steam them. Excuse me, you don't have steam until after boiling point. So you're not going to get steam until 213 degrees. So how does steaming your vegetables come better than boiling your vegetables? The vegetables take a long time from you reach 107. So if you can put your finger in there and keep it in there, fine. But if you put your finger in the water and you have to pull it back out, it has passed 107. What is our body temperature? 98 plus. And when you reach to 107, that is when they have to dump you in some water. You know that when you have fever, 103, no problem. 105, no problem. But this is when you hit 106, it is just a matter of seconds before you get to 107. That is when life is killed and you're going to have brain damage. So this is why they say keep the fever down. And if you get to 106, get a bath and just dump the person in because you must bring it down at all costs. So when you understand the issue of enzymes, enzymes are your life force. So don't ever get up to that. But talking about fever, we need to understand what this is all about. Do you know that your body has its own cleansing processes? Well, I'm here to tell you that fever is one of the most effective. Do you know that all pathogens die at a different temperature? And when your body recognizes that there is an overload of pathogen number ACPTZQ5, then it raises the temperature to 105 to kill off all of those pathogens. When it finds that this particular pathogen dies at 103, then that is what raises it to. So when you have a fever, it's not because you get a fresh cold and you were sprinkled in the rain yesterday. It is because there has been a buildup of pathogens. What are pathogens? Bacteria, viruses, all sorts of negative cells in your body that cause and support disease. Anytime there's a buildup of those things, then the body, which is self-healing, raises the temperature until it kills off those things. And then what should you do? You've got to wash it out of your system. Because if you think that killing them off, dead pathogens are any better than live pathogens, that's the problem you have when you boil your water. People think, oh, I boil my water so I kill all the germs. Yes. Instead of having water with germs swimming around, you now have water with dead germs floating around. And you know what happens when you have a lot of dead things around. And they start to decompose and then attract more bacteria. So boiling water thing is not a solution. You need to filter your water. Or you can make your own filtration system from steam distillation. Told you how to do that. We'll tell you on another program. But let's get back to today. Do you notice I'm just giving you information after information, and we haven't put it together to show how we can celebrate when we have all this. Do you see how you don't have to scrimp in order to be healthy? A lot of people think, oh my goodness, in order to be healthy, I have to make sure I don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, and I don't do that. Now you see you can pile it on, because guess what? We have been given abundant life. And when you are choosing your colors and your vegetables and your fruits and your nuts and your seeds and your peas and your beans and your grapes, always choose the things that are in plentiful, what we call in glut. You see, when mango time comes, turn down your pot and you have mango juice, mango puree, mango shake, you have mango soup. I make mango soup, I make mango stew, I make mango everything when there is a lot of mangoes. And then I freeze a whole heap and I make mango ice cream, I make all sorts of things. When tomatoes are in, it's tomato time. You make tomato puree, tomato juice, you have tomato soup, you have tomato. You understand what I'm saying? The time when the fruits or the vegetables or the whole foods are in their most nutritious state is when they are in glut. They are plentiful. So you see, what I do is I have a ceiling for how much I'm going to pay. When tomatoes reach to $50 or $60 a pound, that's it. When they go to 200, I find beetroots, which have a richer source of breads, and I'm gone clear. So remember, choose the best that you can when you're deciding on your food. And that's the way you can celebrate. Because guess what? Today we're doing rule number 4, enjoy the ride. And everything you eat must be absolutely delicious and delectable, so that you are enjoying the process of coming into wonderful health. Remember that you don't have to prevent yourself from enjoying anything to say that it is good for you. The best things in life are not just free, they are enjoyable. And so we need to understand that we can enjoy our lives. We can enjoy the ride to wonderful health. We can embrace all of those things, which will help us to understand that life is just for living. Remember Ernestine's song, life is just for living. Dun, dun. That's true. And you need to live every moment of every day. Make sure that everything you do will contribute to a full life. So, just to recap for what we did today and also for the week. This week we're doing physical health and how we can know our destination. Have your goals of where you want to go. 2, know your driver. Know who's giving you instructions and directions as to how you should get on this pathway. 3, pay as you enter. You can't go on this pathway unless you are willing to make your contribution. So, pay as you enter. That's how you will reap magnificent rewards. And number 4, enjoy the ride. Celebrate the journey. And that's what I am training you to do. So that, like me, you can celebrate every moment of every day. So, that's what we did this week. And today, I went through the foods and how you can make everything delectable. How you don't need to starve yourself of salt, because you're using sea salt or rock salt. You don't have to starve yourself of sugar because you're using cane juice. And it has no downsides. And remember, your brain is fed by blood sugar with enzymes in it, not the processed sugar. That poisons your brain and your immune system. And 3, you can have all the seasons you want. Don't say, I have a bad stomach, so I can't have that. All the seasonings, once they are fresh or dried by you, they are therapeutic. And so I am going to say ta-ta for now. But guess what? Tomorrow is Shalom Shabbat. And all those Saturday worshipers, or those who want to come in and see how you can have this shalom where there's always peace and there's nothing missing and nothing broken and everything is in perfect upright order, join me tomorrow for Shalom Shabbat. Sunday, we'll be doing our Lord's Day program. And I invite all the Sunday worshipers to come and be encouraged in how you can have a wonderful Sunday without a long face. You can enjoy your worship on Sunday. So, when I'm off the air, I'm online. I don't know what that means. But anyway, remember, don't stop looking and listening because we have coming up Neil Haley, our affiliate from TotalTutor.net. And he's going to be doing an interview with Rocky Bear, a former NFL player, halfback, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can see that I am not really an NFL fan, but guess what? This is good stuff. And first thing I know is that all men forget about my program. They have to be there to watch. And there are a lot of ladies who are into NFL, and into this game. So don't go away. Watch for our next program. Have a good time.
Hey, these words have been spoken by my master. They will come to pass.